Two events remain here at the historic Santa Monica Pier in Southern California for the Arnold Strongman USA. The final stop on the road to the Arnold Strongman Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Thanks for being with us here today, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with Dr. Bill Crawford. Bill, this has been a day so far filled with surprises. The first, Maxine Boudreau. More on him in a second, but another big surprise, Matjaz Belsak has withdrawn from the competition, and his spot in Ohio now is in a lot of danger.
It really is, and so Rauno has to finish third probably to make it in, but still, that takes him out. And what happened today is what we said would have to happen for him not to be able to punch his ticket.
Yeah, so Matjaz Belsak, we said it would take a disaster. Well, a disaster unfolding for the man from Slovenia right now. Let's take a look at the overall standings through three events. Maxine Boudreau, a clean sweep so far. He has won all three events, 39 out of a total possible 39 points. And Martinez Licis and Brian Shaw tied for second behind him, 28.5, followed by Gerry Pritchett. And again, Rauno Heinla, if he can vault himself into third place, he will earn a spot as one of the points entries into the Arnold Strongman Classic. But first, we want to get down to the other member of our broadcast crew, Margot Alvarez, who is with a very special guest.
Hi, I'm here with Chase Young, the potential #1 draft pick in the NFL. How's your training been going?
It's going real good. It's a lot different from Ohio being out here, but it's definitely going real good.
That's great. How's this competition been for you? You said it was the first event you've been to. How's the experience been for you watching the events?
It's crazy. When I was young, I used to watch these events on TV, but actually being at one, you really feel the intensity out here. It's crazy.
That's great. Any tips or training that you might take from today and actually implement in your training?
I definitely have to take some of the juice back with me. I definitely have to take some back with me.
Well, thank you for your time. Wishing you all the best in the draft. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Chase Young referring to the environment here, not any PEDs or anything like that, which would definitely hurt his stock as one of the possible top picks in the NFL draft. So we appreciate him taking the time to join us here. Let's get to Maxine Boudreau right now. We've been trying to figure out where did this guy come from? Why is he so good? You actually got some information as to why he is doing so well today.
Well, I got a text message, and it says, "Hi, pal. I understand my guy Maxime is doing good over there. I've been working with him in his training. All the best, Magnus for Magnuson."
There you go.
So we've been asking ourselves, what's the secret sauce? How is this happening? Well, just like Oudhaugen coaches Martins, if you're getting coaching and personal help from Magnus for Magnuson, one of the great strongmen of all time and super knowledgeable in all events, then that's got to give you an advantage, and that's the factor we've been looking for. Why did this happen?
Yeah, let's talk event number 4 now, and this is one that maybe Maxime might not be able to ace like he has the other three. Now, this is the Deadlift For Reps. There's going to be a lot of weight on that barbell. They have to complete as many reps as possible. Two athletes completing head-to-head, 60-second time limit, 775 pounds on the barbell. What are the keys to this event?
Well, it's the deadlift. This is the raw meat that all the strongmen fans have been watching, but you want to keep the bar close to yourself, especially with repetitions, meaning that you've got to be really efficient so that you can continue without expending 1 ounce of energy you don't have to. You got to pace yourself a little bit. You can start off really quickly and find yourself just running out of gas in 1 rep.
2 more events remain, and it's Maxine Boudreau who's atop the overall leaderboard, and the athletes right behind him, Brian Shaw and Martinez Licis, are running out of time to catch him. Who are you going to be watching now in this event pretty closely?
Well, Martinez actually has, like we talk about, he's got a big motor. So this is the event that he's going to really come on. He got past the bag over bar without too many scars, and he finds himself in second place, but really about 10 points behind. So with a great performance here and maybe faltering from Boudreau, but Martinez got through the keyhole he was looking for, and he finds himself kind of where he needs to be, but a little bit of distance to catch up on. But if anybody can do it, It's the Dragon.
And as we were saying during the break, other than Maxine Boudreau, I mean, this thing is going as we expected. But Matt Boudreau's in first place, and he is now the human monkey wrench in this whole situation. But the guys right behind him, this is the battle we expected. Martinez, Licis, and Brian Shaw. Now, Brian Shaw has got to be licking his chops to get out there for this event. Absolutely.
He's a great deadlifter. He's deadlifted over 1,000 pounds in competition. And he did exactly what we thought he would do in the bag over bar, and that's come right near the top. So Brian really needs to have a really, get out there and get the reps going with the deadlift and keep himself in the top 2 to be in striking distance.
One more look at the overall standings. Brian Shaw and Martinez Licis are tied for second place with 28.5 points, and it's Maxine Boudreau who sits atop the overall leaderboard. Now, coming into this event, if Shaw and Licis are going to catch Boudreau, they're going to need to get some help. Who on this leaderboard here might be able to provide that in this event?
Well, for starters, both Licis and Shaw have to have great performances in the deadlift. But you also have Gerry, Ronald's a great deadlifter, JF Caron's a great deadlifter, Yitzi Kramer's a very good deadlifter. Remember last year he pulled 900 pounds, a personal best here. So Maxime would have to find himself probably 7th, 8th, 9th, and maybe even 10th place in the deadlift to have these guys catch up with him.
And if that happens, then it comes down to the final event, and we will be in store for a very exciting finish. So Maxine Boudreau, your overall leader with 39 points. Look, you know Magnus really well. What are the kind of things that he's instilling in Maxine Boudreau?
Well, I've known Magnus for a long time and trained with Magnus, and I can tell you, especially, one of the things he talks about with his strongmen is being an athlete, and also being able to prepare yourself specifically for each event. But he insists that his athletes that are training for powerlifting, or particularly for strongman, also include dynamic lifting. In other words, a power clean or a high pull to get that pop going. And so he really instills that, and that also helps his deadlift. I don't know if Maxime's a great deadlifter, but if he's working with Magnus, I've got to think that he's at least proficient at it. So that's probably a lot of what he's actually put into him, is just this, not just preparation, but making yourself a better athlete, because Magnus is a great athlete when you watch him compete in the past.
You mentioned Gerry Pritchett. We saw him a couple years ago at the Arnold Strongman Classic do very well in the elephant bar. Different bar here, but what makes Gerry such a good deadlifter?
He just, honestly, like last year, his 750 attempt and moving up looked like his 950 attempt. It looked exactly the same. He's got that stroke. He's got that incredible power. He has that deadlift technique that's been more prevalent in the last 10 or 15 years, kind of the Andy Bolton, Brian Shaw, where they put their feet further out. Halfdoor's adopted this technique, squatting down more, getting your hips engaged, and pushing your feet down. And that's, instead of just trying to bend down and stand up, wider foot placement, wider hands, and creating a little bit less distance. And that's the efficiency. When you watch Gerry deadlift at any point, he always has his hips in the best position. And if he fails the weight, it's because he physically can't get it. It's not a technique issue.
Ronald Heinle has a ton to gain in this event. We mentioned that as we came in here. If he can vault into the top 3 in this competition, he's going to the Arnold Strongman Classic. What do you like about him in this event?
He has, last year we kind of focused on his hip flexors. He's got this great muscular strength in his hips, and he's shown that he's good with endurance events. This is purely an endurance event. I just like his deadlift technique. He's a little shorter athlete than some of the other taller guys. I think he edges them based on that. He's got a pretty good motor, great back strength, fantastic technique, and a lot of hip strength.
What difference does it make that the athletes aren't out there by themselves, and now they're going to be lining up against somebody? I mean, obviously they have a strategy going in, but what do you have to do to not get away from your plan and get sucked into what the other guy's doing next to you?
Well, with a deadlift, a lot of guys actually just look at the floor about 7 or 8 feet in front of them. Watch what's going on. They're not tucking their back and looking straight forward. So they're really going to be paying attention to the floor. And if they've got a handler, they're going to have somebody calling reps for them. And they'll know how many reps they're getting. And they'll also kind of see the pace. we could actually see a race, particularly with the better athletes at the end of this, with the stronger athletes at the end of it, where they're actually starting to pace themselves and maybe really pick it up, and it gets really exciting at the end. But mostly you're just trying to pull quickly, get an efficient pattern going, and try to get as many reps as possible. That's what this is about.
Let's take a look at the competitors list and the start order here. As again, we'll be working our way up the overall standings, not down. So the top 2 athletes will be going last, and they will be paired together. So there's potential here for Maxine Boudreau and Martinez Licis to get paired together, that they're at the top. This is how the official pairings are going to look. So it's Eddie Williams going up against Rob Kearney. Brian Shaw will be the man who is paired with Maxine Boudreau. So if you're Maxime and you've got Brian Shaw lining up next to you, what kind of pressure does that put on Boudreau?
Well, Boudreau hasn't flinched so far.
Yeah.
Let's see if standing in the face of the lion, he flinches, because Brian's here to claim his place at the table, which is going back to the Arnold. So that could actually play a little bit into this. I talk about technique and focusing on the floor and being able to pull and all that stuff, but it could actually affect you. So
Brian Shaw has a little bit of an advantage because he gets to line up next to Maxime Boudreau. Martinez Licis will not. He's going to have to wait and see what those guys do. So we have to see what Martinez Licis comes up with here in event number 4. But just one event remains. And we talked about pressure to start the day. The pressure is on. This is the last chance these guys have. Well, now they're starting to run out of events. What kind of pressure are they feeling now?
Well, it's going to come down to who can actually have. Where do you find yourself at the end of the deadlift? And are you within striking distance on the last event? What can you do? And that's what it's going to come down to. Who is going to be in striking distance to be able to take that bag and have the fastest times with those bags? I think because it's a 400-pound bag, we're going to see this. A lot of guys not being able to either pick it up or carry it at all. So if you carry that 400-pound bag to completion, you're going to make a huge space. That's
what we're watching right now is one of the firefighters who is here competing. This is a reps for donation. So for every rep completed, that increases the amount of money that's going to be donated to a firefighter with ALS. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is out there calling out the reps. So $10,000, it sounds like, have been raised for that firefighter with ALS. And 500 pounds on that barbell. And this is, last year when we were here, California was just fresh off dealing with some wildfires, and Arnold Schwarzenegger donated a ton of money, and this event donated a ton of money to the firefighters. So we certainly want to thank all of our first responders and firefighters for everything you do to keep us safe and everything that you continue to do here. And it's been one great things about this event is to be part of the celebration of those individuals who lay it on the line every day.
Well, the energy behind what the firefighters are doing, we can hear the crowd, and it's unbelievable. And I think that it just speaks a lot to the support that they get from the community. But also it's an exciting competition. These are athletes who have to train their bodies to perform their jobs, and they're out there, doing these really terrific. I mean, a firefighter that can deadlift 500 pounds for a bunch of reps.
It's impressive.
I can tell you, if you're lying on the floor in a house or something, that guy's going to snatch you up and drag you out. So it makes me feel good that those are the kind of people that work for us.
So far, it's been a really fun competition and a really fun day here in Santa Monica as we get set to get back to the Strongman competition for the 4th of 5 events. It is the Deadlift for Reps, 775 pounds on the barbells. And I think the first time that I can remember that we've seen 2 athletes who will be working at the same time. So this is going to be a fun dynamic that they've added to the event here on the Santa Monica Pier. So one more look at the event description. 60 seconds, as many reps as you can get at 775 pounds. And we have a really great race developing on top of the overall leaderboard. How would you approach this event?
One rep at a time. And that sounds cliche, but the preparation's been done. And basically you want to make sure that each rep is in your wheelhouse. I keep talking about having really efficient pulling technique, because if you get one rep out of place and it's a drop and you have to repick and it starts to play with you a little bit, you want to continue with really efficient pulling from the bottom to the top. Another one too is that on an event like this, with the deadlift in particular, these guys, I can tell you right now at this level, these guys are not trying to just stand up with a bar. They're pushing their feet down.
Yeah, you mentioned technique, and that's going to come into play here in your two keys.
Yes, they're going to really try to keep the bar close. They would obviously pacing themselves are a big piece of this, but they're going to really try to push their feet down so that the bar comes up, and that actually shortens the distance a little bit, believe it or not.
The weight getting added to the bar as they work it up to 775 pounds.
Sean, if I could make an observation, world's strongest man in 2000, when Jani Virtanen from Finland won, 775 was the winning deadlift weight. They didn't use straps, but it was a single rep.
That's incredible. In just less than 20 years, how far we've come here.
Absolutely.
In the strongman community and fitness in general. Let's send it down to Margot Alvarez with more on what's going on here at Santa Monica Pier.
Thanks, Sean. I'm down here with the crowd. It's been amazing. The energy has been high since the beginning. We have 3 events down, 2 more to go. It's been amazing to see the stands packed full of people. Anything can happen with just 2 events left, so it's going to be nice to see how it plays out.
Thank you, Margot. And this crowd has been in this building since way before this competition started. We got here pretty early, and the stands were already starting to fill up here. So it doesn't look like anybody has left, and they're all hanging out to see what happens here over those final 2 events here at the Arnold Strongman USA. What are you expecting to see here in this event?
Honestly, 10 reps is going to be the minimum to win.
Really? Okay.
I think we could actually see an 11 or 12 repetition pace. Think about this. That means that every 6 seconds, they've got to pull 775 pounds off of the floor. Every 6 seconds.
Incredible.
And so, and if it's maybe 11, it's going to be like 5 seconds. I mean, that's just an astounding pace with this kind of weight. And this is a barbell. This isn't like a lot of times you'll have repetition deadlifts with a fixed implement like a car or a wheelbarrow type of thing. This is an honest-to-gosh free-wheeling barbell.
There are some people walking by our set here who I don't think they know exactly what's going on, and we can hear the athletes warming up, and you feel the weight drop, and the pier shakes, and everyone kind of looks around not knowing what's going on. But you can hear some big weights hitting the floor in the warm-up area. So it's going to be really impressive to see what these athletes can do with 775 pounds as we get set for the 4th of 5 events here. And again, there is no tomorrow for these athletes, and they are running out of time now to qualify for the Arnold Strongman Classic. But Rano Heinle, the door is wide open for him now going into these final 2 events.
He's putting himself in position to actually, striking distance for him is, qualifying in that top 2 of the point standards. And, with Belsak having to withdraw, that keeps the door open. You're exactly right.
And Matjaz Belsak, just to reset the stage here, came into this event in the series point standings with 32 points. Looked like he was well on his way to going to Columbus, Ohio. He was up 6 points on Gerry Pritchett. He was up 9 points on Rano Heinle. And we said earlier today, well, he just has to avoid a disaster. Well, now he's withdrawn. He's basically going to finish dead last. Heinle just he's got to finish 3rd, so he still has his work cut out for him. But I don't think Rano Heinle came into this event and this day thinking that he would have this good of a chance to get himself back to the Arnold Strongman Classic.
Yes, I think one thing that's going to help he and Licis both, they're a little bit shorter than maybe Gerry or Brian, so they have to haul it a little bit less, saving a little more energy. So Licis and Rano are kind of, even though Gerry's this prodigious deadlifter, don't count either one of those guys out either.
Yeah, Gerry Pritchett looks I don't want to put the same jinx on him that we put on Belsak, but he looks pretty good here. If he can just have a solid last couple events, Gerry Pritchett looks like he'll be making another trip to the Arnold Strongman Classic. As it looks like we're closer now to getting going here on event number 4, the Deadlift For Reps. And then after that, it's the sandbag carry. And I know you think that's an event that sets up really well for Martinez Licis.
Yes, it does, because that's a strength endurance event. And it tests his mental strength and his ability to kind of eat the competition. He gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So that's right in his wheelhouse. I will say, though, that the deadlift, I'm really excited about the deadlift because looking at that beautiful rogue bar. The deadlift is red meat for the strongman fan. You know, iron is something that our very earth spins around. You know, iron carries the oxygen we all depend on. And for a strongman fan, for any lifter or athlete, iron has become an integral part of our lives. So this is going to be something we're all going to love watching. I'm excited by it.
Yeah, and like you said, anytime you roll a heavy barbell out there and you tell strongman fans that they're gonna deadlift this thing, people get super excited. There's been a change that's been made to a starting order. We're going to get to that in a second, but we just want to keep you updated on that. So we're gonna get you the updated starting order once that is ready. We showed you the one earlier, but now that thing has changed. Barbells look like they're ready, and the athletes are starting to make their way out onto the floor. Here's what the new starting order looks like for event number 4, the Deadlift for Reps, as Rob Kearney and Gerry Pritchett are stepping up to the platform. But Eddie Williams and Rob Kearney will be going first, followed by Novikov and Pritchett. Then Claiborne and Licis. Heinle will go up against JF Caron. That'll be a good matchup there. And then, of course, Brian Shaw and Maxine Boudreau. So it's Kramer and Williams. It looked like, I thought that was Gerry Pritchett. That is actually Eddie Williams stepping up there for the first pairing.
So Rob has a pretty close foot placement. He's a shorter athlete. That might work for him. Eddie's got a fairly narrow foot placement as well.
So we are underway, and Kearney looks to be the only man lifting as Eddie Williams doesn't look like he's going to make any attempts here.
He started the pull. He's up to 4. You can hitch in strongman. That's 4.
So 4 at 775 as Eddie Williams is not going to make an attempt here.
I think he made an attempt. It just wasn't going his way. But look at what a sportsman to cheer his competitor on.
So Kearney with 5 now.
5 reps. Still has 18 seconds. 6 reps. This could separate him. He's already qualified, but he's a professional. He wants to give his best every time.
Kearney hitching that bar up, and he will get 6.
Great effort.
And Rob Kearney's going to call it. So 6 good reps for Rob Kearney to set the early mark to beat. As we have 5 pairings remaining, as Matjaz Belsak again has withdrawn from the competition, so we are now down to 12 total athletes.
Rob's got a pretty close knee placement, but what he does have, he gets his hips down. He's very efficient. He's a shorter athlete, really nice stroke, and he paced himself. Look, he's just trying to get that last rep. He knows who he is. If it pushed it a little too fast, maybe he didn't get that 6th rep. He got it.
Rob Kearney with 6 reps. Next pairing, Alexi Novikov and the man who you think is going to get 10 total reps in this event, Gerry Pritchett.
I don't want to I'd like to under promise and over deliver, but I think that you're probably going to laugh the first 5 reps that Gerry pulls on this. It's going to be really super efficient and kind of easy. Like when is the weight going to hit the bar?
So Alexi Novikov is one of the men who has already qualified for the Arnold Strongman Classic in March as the Arnold South Africa champion, trying to improve on his 7th place performance last year. Gerry Pritchett, meanwhile, is trying to keep his string of consecutive appearances at the Arnold Strongman Classic alive. He's been there every year since 2013.
Super wide foot placement. So he takes his height and negates that height and makes himself actually shorter for the pull.
We're underway. So Pritchett, 1 rep down. Novikov with 1 rep down. Novikov a much more narrow stance here.
Much more narrow stance. He should be a little bit wider. Look at Gerry, just a machine. 3.
That's 4 for Pritchett.
4.
He's through 5, and we're not even at the 40-second mark. And there's 6.
He's going to cause a lot of space between him and the other athletes in this event. Alexi's walked away.
So 7 reps for Pritchett, and we're only halfway through.
He's got to hitch a little bit. 8.
Now blood starting to come out of his nose. We've seen this before in some of these heavier deadlift events, but he is through 7. He's got 7 reps, maybe time for 1 more.
Yes, Might should have just paced himself a little bit better.
And it doesn't look like Pritchett's going to give it another try, but 7 impressive repetitions for Gerry Pritchett.
A little bit of a surprise, actually. Thought he was going to be good for closer to 10.
He left Novikov in the dust. Not sure on how many reps Alexi Novikov got. It looked like maybe 2 or 3, but Gerry Pritchett just ran away with that heat as Martinez Licis and Wesley Claiborne are the next 2 men up. So Licis running out of time here to catch Maxine Boudreau. He's got to come up with a big performance here to keep Boudreau within reach. Seven reps from Gerry Pritchett is your top score, and it was Rob Kearney who put up 6 for second place right now. Licis is going to be on the left, and it's Claiborne on the right.
Well, the time is now for Martinez. He's got to put his foot on this gas pedal. He's got 60 seconds. He's got to hit at least 8 repetitions to surpass Gerry.
The clock has started, and Licis has 1. Now 2. So good pace early on here for Martinez Licis. He's through 3. That's 4. Now 5 for Licis. That's 6, and we are just about at the halfway point. And Claiborne struggling through a rep. So 7 for Licis right now. So he's tied with Pritchett. This would give him the lead.
There you go. Finish up. Finish up. There you go.
So 8 for Martinez Licis, and he is your new leader.
8. Wow. I'm a little surprised these guys aren't closer to 10, however. It's been a long day.
So Martinez Licis with what looked like 8 good reps, unofficially.
Fairly narrow foot stance, but again, really super efficient, doesn't waste 1 inch pulling that bar up. And he paced himself, and he knew who he was in this event. So he didn't push it too fast early on and get overexcited, and hits that last rep up.
Casey Garrison and Yitz Kramer up next. Garrison, the former baseball player, former draftee of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Sometimes people want to take maximum deadlift and convert it into repetitions and the opposite as well. And it's kind of hard to do that sometimes because they're just different components. Some guys have a little more cardiovascular power, and also it's about maintaining efficiency and not just hitting that one big stroke. It looks like Yitzy's going to set up with a fairly wide foot stance. And again, he's negating that height that he has.
8 reps unofficially from Martinez Licis is the score to beat here. The athletes are ready and we are underway. Garrison on the left, Kramer on the right, and Kramer just rips that first rep. Garrison struggling, he gets the first one. Kramer through 2 reps and now 3.
Now watch out, look how he's looking down on the floor. He gets to his knees, he pulls back and up.
4 down for Kramer, that's 5.
He had to hitch a little bit. He's going to run out of steam. He just needs to pace himself. 6
for Kramer. Getting close to Licis' score, and Kramer's going to have to take a knee here and catch his breath, but still a lot of time left as we approach the 20-second mark. Garrison's still working as well. But Kramer is going to tap out at 6.
Great effort, though. It's going to help him a lot.
Solid score for Yitz Kramer, but it's Martinez Licis who's still your leader, unofficially at 8 reps. One more look at Jitz Kramer, who came out of the gates hot.
Very efficient pull, keeping the bar close to his body. He's got a wide foot stance, negating some of his height, 6'5" or so. And completing the reps. He paced himself, but still had some time left over. Great effort.
Jitz Kramer with 6 repetitions, and now Rano Heinle and JF Caron. So Rano Heinle still has some work to do here as he looks to make his 3rd appearance at the Arnold Strongman Classic. Again, he has to finish 3rd or better in this competition to move up the series point standings to put himself in position to move on to the Arnold Strongman Classic in Columbus, Ohio in March. JF Caron, I mean, just one of the best deadlifters out there right now.
Yes, he's deadlifted over 1,000 pounds in competition. I think he's probably going to fill this out because he's already qualified. He doesn't want to have an injury, and because he's waiting for the big show and he's already there. He's going to treat this like a workout, but he's also a competitor and a professional athlete.
So Heinle's through 1 quickly.
Wow, they both just.
Heinle through 2, Caron through 2 as well. Now both men through 3. 4 for Heinle and 4 for Caron. So rep for rep here. Heinle now to 5. 6 for Heinle, 5 for Caron.
Heinle's getting his hips down really well and pushing his feet down.
That's 7 for Heinle.
Getting his knees, getting the bar to his knees pretty quickly. He's halfway through and he's
8
got 7. He's got
for
8
Heinle.
repetitions.
Wow. And that'll be 9 unofficially.
Leader. JF's a great deadlifter. That was a super rep. Very efficient. Okay, who wants one more? Where are they?
Heinle's going to go again here with 5 seconds, and Heinle is not able to get it. But unofficially, by our count, it looks like he got 9. We're going to have to get confirmation on that. But this is all unofficial. But even if it's 8 for Ronald Heinle, it would at least tie him for the lead. We want to be cautious here because unofficially, 9 reps is what we're hearing unofficially for Ronald Heinle. And that would put him in the lead in this event by 1 rep over Licis.
Super efficient lifter. Bar's very close. Pushing his feet down, gets it to his knees quickly, and pulls back. And he's one of the shorter athletes, and he's using that to his advantage. And
Ronald
great
Heinle,
hip strength.
9 total repetitions. And again, if he finishes 3rd or better in this competition, he's on to Columbus. Now, Brian Shaw has to win this competition to get to Columbus, and the man he's chasing will be lining up next to him in this event. Maxine Boudreau, the overall leader who has been perfect through 3 events, but when it comes to deadlifting, there are not a lot of guys better on this face of the earth than Brian Shaw.
Also a world record holder in the past in the deadlift, over 1,000-pound deadlift. He actually deadlifted 1,025 in training, but again, this is for repetitions. And quite frankly, I just don't know where Boudreau is, Maxime is with the deadlift, but we just got that information that he's been training with Magnus, so I bet he's got a pretty good deadlift going.
Boudreau is on the left, Shaw is on the right. The score to beat belongs to Ronald Heinle, 9 reps.
Really wide hand placement, but Brian's a giant, 6'8", super wide hips. He's going to use that to his advantage.
And the time has begun. Shaw has 1 down. Boudreau slowly gets 1 down. Shaw with 2. That's 3 for Brian Shaw.
Brian's on pace. He's doing well.
And now 2 for Boudreau, and he's going to bow out. So Shaw continues. I believe that's 5. That's 6. So Brian Shaw with every rep is closing the gap between himself and Maxime Boudreau. 7 for Shaw.
The crowd's starting to stand up. They feel it.
This will be 8 unofficially for Brian Shaw. 10 seconds to go.
Wow.
And Shaw is done.
Great effort.
So Boudreau with 2 is going to finish near the bottom of the standings in this event. And Brian Shaw and Martinez Licis are going to be able to close the point gap pretty significantly. And it's looking like this thing's going to come down to the final event.
Yes, it is. Brian with that really wide foot placement, pushes his feet down, gets it to his knees and pulls back, completing that repetition. I hear the lion roaring.
What a performance from Brian Shaw, who he got a pitch groove to him here with the deadlift. He knocks it out of the park. So both he and Martinez Licis unofficially with 8 reps, Shaw unofficially with 8 reps. So they will tie again. But most importantly for them, they beat Maxine Boudreau by a pretty wide margin, meaning that the point standings are going to look a lot different heading into the 5th and final event. Meanwhile, Rano Heinle wins the event. He may wind up in the top 4 now, 1 spot away from where he needs to be to get himself to the Arnold Strongman Classic.
Super efficient deadlifter, shorter than a lot of the other athletes. Tons of hip power, just coming right off the floor, pulls back, paced himself beautifully. 9 repetitions, purely world class. I'm a little surprised though that nobody got to 10. I thought that would be the minimum.
Rano Heinle, 9 reps to win the event. Brian Shaw with 8 reps, and he is reeling in Maxine Boudreau, and Brian Shaw is with Margot Alvarez.
Guys, I'm here with Brian on the floor. You finished that 4th event with 8 reps. Are you happy with that? How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm having a little bit of a hard time breathing, but got to fight through. Got to make it happen. I would have loved to put 1 more up, but you know, it puts me in a good spot going into the last event.
And speaking of that last event, you're on the line. What do you need to do to execute to reach your goal?
I mean, I just have to bring it. You know, that's a really good event for me. I'm big and strong. I just got to move with those bags really quickly and get it done.
Well, we're wishing you the best. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Margot. Brian Shaw has cut significantly into Maxine Boudreau's lead. This one's going to come down to the final event. We'll have it for you after the break. 5th and final event from the Arnold Strongman USA coming up here on the Rogue Iron Game.